welcome to Today in Woburn. I'm your host, Samantha Stone. And for those of you who watch the show regularly, you'll notice that I am actually at my lake house filming today. I snuck away for a couple of days to get some intensive writing done. None of my family is with me. It's quiet. I can eat cake for breakfast and no one judges me. Well, they judge me probably, but I'm really excited to be here. And of course, never far from home. Woburn's always in my heart. So thrilled to have some of our city engineers with us today. We're going to talk about stormwater management as we go into spring. We have Rachel, who's just opened a wonderful school in our community, and going to chat with her about that. And of course, we have Mayor Scott Galvin, and we're going to catch up on some city business. So welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Glad to have you, Scott. I had the chance to see you on Friday evening at the very touching vigil that we had in the center. It was so lovely to see so many folks come down to support our Asian neighbors.
Yeah, it was really good. David Crowley and the Woburn Mutual Aid Network and all the other groups that participated and helped get the vigil going deserve a lot of credit. It was a nice night. We had great weather. Some of the speakers, the younger speakers, were fantastic. They really did a good job of conveying their thoughts, and I thought it was a very good night.
Yeah, it was
great crowd too, Samantha.
Right, it was really, you never know on a Friday, and in the midst of things, but it was first of all a beautiful day, so people were able to spread out and be outside in a comfortable environment, and it was really lovely to see. One of the things that I heard over and over again through the evening from many of our speakers was this cultural pressure to keep quiet in the face of racism for this particular community, and often not to speak up. And so I was really glad to see that as a community, we created a forum by which hopefully to break down some of those barriers, and hopefully it's the beginning of a lot of people being able to feel comfortable raising voices, supporting each other. And as always, Woburn really comes together for each other.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, it was really good. Of course, Brian was out there taping for us. So anybody who missed it, who did want to listen, there's some really touching speakers, as Scott mentions, particularly some of the young folks who spoke. It was really great to see them sharing their voices and raising those voices.
Yeah.
We've been doing testing still. Thought I'd do a quick check-in with you. How did the last round of testing as we go back? We're about to go back to elementary schools and building again.
Yeah, so the schools start on Monday, which is exciting, and it's going to be a great day for the city, and another step back towards normalcy with more vaccines being pumped out, and we continue to test, which is an important part of it. And we're still offering tests to city employees and residents. And again, this week there was, I think, 160 people got tested, no positives, which is always a good sign. Our statistics citywide, they've stayed pretty consistent, and we've plateaued at about 20 cases a week, 21 cases a day, excuse me. The way they work it out, 21 per 100,000. So it's been about that number. I did talk to the Megan Doherty from the Board of Health, and she seems to think that our numbers are heading down based on what she saw today. So, hopefully that'll bear through, but the positivity rate's at about 2.7, which is where we've been for the past 3 weeks. So we're plateauing. It's not going up, not going down, but I think, as I said, with some of the numbers we saw last weekend, we might be heading down a little bit, but we still do have, from what you keep hearing is that there is more spread. So we just have to be careful. And I think with the more vaccine getting out there, we keep offering the testing. And when school starts, I talked to Matt Crowley today, we're going to also make sure that, parents know that if they want to get their children tested, it's available for them on Friday. So I think we'll pick up a little bit more once school starts, and we'll make sure that parents have a convenient place to go if they do want to get any of their children tested.
That's great. My son has been away at college this last term, and one of the things that they do is he tests every week, and there's no assurance, but there is some comfort knowing that his test is negative every week. He's been fortunate and lucky, and we feel good about that. So testing can be a great opportunity to find if you're not negative, find it quick. But if you are, also provide some confidence. So glad to hear that they're going to be recommunicating that out to folks. After our conversation last week about the library and the trustees and such, you did a really nice job of outlining the timeline by which that fifth trustee will be put in place.
Yeah.
There was some questions about hiring the director. As we understand it, the current director is interim, and I believe his contract is through June or the ends of June. I'm not sure what the exact timing was. And folks were wondering what the role of the trustees will be in helping us select that full-time position.
Well, I think I made it clear that, the reason we went through this whole process and the city council agreed with me is that the mayor should be the appointing authority and the director should be accountable to the mayor. So regardless of what the status is, the mayor should be the appointing authority, and that's what I'm expressing to all the trustees now. Is not, we've got Chuck until his contract says is until either we hire a new director or 1 week thereafter, whichever comes sooner. Does that make sense? Whatever it is, he's going to be. Say
it again, Scott, so we don't confuse it.
Whatever it is, Chuck's going to be there until the new director is hired. And I've made it clear that it's the mayor's responsibility. City council backed that, and that's what the legislation says. So, I'll be clear with the trustees that it's, we're holding off until the legislation's passed and that we've got a whole new board of trustees in place. But it's clear that when we went through this that the intent was the mayor should be the appointing authority and the director should be accountable to the mayor. And I think that's what we went through. And we went through this whole process with the last director, and I think that's what this is borne out.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure I don't want to have rumors. I just like to use this as an opportunity to keep everything really clear. And I appreciate your candor and directness and all of this. I think it's super helpful. I think there was an impression or an expectation that you would absolutely hire the director and they'd be accountable, but the trustees would have some advisory role in doing that, in terms of potentially interviewing candidates or otherwise helping develop, requirements, whatever, have some role in that. Is that not going to happen? Or
well, that was I don't know where that would come from or where there would be a misinterpretation, but it was never stated, and that was never part of it. That it's just not, that was not part of the discussion, and so I don't want there to be any misinterpretation or any misunderstanding. The legislation was drafted in such a way that the mayor is the appointing authority. Now, if the mayor, in this case, if I do decide to have, an advisory committee, I could, I could set that up, or in the future, some other mayor wanted to have an advisory committee, they could. There's no requirement though, Samantha.
Yep. No, totally understand that. And what do you view as the role of the trustees moving forward? So obviously that was a very tiny piece of what they do, right?
Yeah, it's a small part. The trustees are responsible for the building. That's, they're responsible for making decisions about, what goes on in the building. A very big responsibility is, they work with, they work with the trust funds to make sure that they're secure and spent appropriately, and that's one of their big roles. But they do have a role as far as programming and whatnot. They talk what type of programming they like to see, and different events that they like to see happen at the library. The building is that's their major responsibility.
Yeah,
and again, not to cloud things, Samantha, but when we built the addition, the city took out a bond authorization of $31.5 million, and part of that, there are different legal agreements that cross agreements that we made with the trustees about which had to be done in order to get the funding. So there are some there are some different agreements that were created because of the bond funding, which do do cloud the arrangement a little bit, but the intent is that we have to work together. Trustees have to work with the mayor. Trustees and the mayor have to work together with the director and the employees. That's what we found out. So that's what will happen. So that's
what we're all aiming for, right? That's where we're aiming for all of this. And the trustees are also a great community resource and voice of the community to help feed into you and in other parts of it to share feedback and input.
Without a doubt. And that's like why we said why it is so important that there's 9 of them, and that that we do, that, you know, don't want to talk about the accomplishments of the former trustees, but they did, the trustees were, that the last group of trustees, I mean, some of it didn't end that well, but one of the major things that those trustees did advocate for was a new building. And I guess, so at that point, we did start to realize, a long time ago, that you had to, there does need to be a diversity. And, for the longest time, Richard Mahoney was the only male on there, and they were, so we were getting away from that. Now there's, like we say, the cultural diversity in the city of Woburn is such that it's really important that this next group of trustees does represent, the different, different cultures and ethnicity of the city. And that's what we're looking to do, to, as you say, to get, input from all the city on what's important at the library.
Great. Awesome.
So we got a great opportunity, and I don't want to, this, I know you're not trying to make it that way. I don't want this to be contentious at all. It's like, this is going to be an open process, and the existing trustees are going to have a great hand in helping develop, what we'd like to see in the trustees. So we're going to work together on that.
Good. Well, I love to hear that. I know everyone who's on the trustees cares deeply about our community and is in their position because they're excited to work with you and the community at large and the library and the staff. So not negative at all. I just want to, it's really helpful, I think, to have clear communication about what is happening, when and where. And I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And excited. I saw a picture you posted recently of some of the new folks and some of the excitement around our new assistant director and such. And I'm sure there's lots of people celebrating that. And we have new positions to fill, right? We've got 2 exciting positions, children's and teen librarians which
are really, those are extremely important positions. And, we're excited about those. And Chuck Flaherty put out the job descriptions, and I think they've got some applications back on those already. So I know the other trustees, those are really important to Emily, Richard, and Joanne and Larry Rideout. They're very excited about that. So
yeah, we have a beautiful library with a rich history, and I hope it welcomes some incredible talent. They'll be lucky to be in that town. So and the city. Thank you for that. Anything else you want to add before I let you go?
No, other than happy Easter. I know we're not going to be on before then, but I just want to wish everybody a happy Easter, and
thank you.
Enjoy the weekend and have some quality time with your family, and we'll see you back on Monday.
Yeah, thank you. I know we just celebrated Passover for some folks, and
That's
Easter's
right.
coming around the corner. And I have a long list of recipes that I'm pre-trying because I never like to serve a new recipe for the first time on actual holiday. I find that it's a dangerous trend. So I've been doing a lot of practice eating for Easter, Scott.
Good. Yeah, good for you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now I'd like to invite Jay and Matt, who are from our engineering department, and we're going to talk a lot about spring cleanup and the effect it has on our water and such. Thank you both for joining.
Nice to be here, Samantha. Thanks for having us.
So I think most people, well, I shouldn't say most people, I don't know very much about stormwater and its management in the city and how it affects the community and such. So I thought it might be just a good, baseline to just give you an opportunity to sort of talk about what is, when we say stormwater management, what do we mean? And why is spring so important to the community, a time for us to really be paying attention to it?
Sure. We have 3 major utilities in the city, water, sewer, and drain. Water and sewer, everybody's familiar with. You turn your water in the morning to wash face, brush teeth, take a shower, wash your clothes. It's always there. It's a great utility. It's wonderful water that we make. We make it fresh every day. What leaves your house from your sink and your shower and your toilet, that goes into the sewer system, goes to MWRA. Those 2 utilities are paid for by a user charge system. Then we have the drainage system. The drainage system collects all the rainwater that hits your roof, the rain that runs off your lawn, your driveway, your cars, goes to the streets, goes into catch basins, into the drain pipes, down to the streams, into Horn Pond, into the Aberjona River, and eventually off to the Atlantic Ocean. That we pay for out of the general fund, separate issue. So it's 2 of the utilities are maintained by user charges. one's maintained by the general fund. All of the stormwater, it kind of runs off and we don't really think about it. But as it runs off your house and your driveway and your cars, it picks up dirt and leaves and debris, unfortunately trash, sometimes dog waste that people throw in the catch basins. And all these things degrade the water quality in our streams and our ponds. So the EPA came out with uh, what's called MS4, the stormwater management system, to see if we can get communities to take care of their waters better, do a better job of removing pollutants, nutrients, phosphates. Um, what these things do is they create algae blooms in the water. Algae blooms essentially take all the nutrients that are there. They put scum on top of the water. They remove the oxygen from the water. It makes it harder for fish to spawn, for fish to live, other amphibians. So there's a lot of impacts that occur. We have a nice stormwater page. We work with the Mystic River Watershed Association. They give us lots of tips on how to improve, use less fertilizer, compost things to get rid of them, doing yard waste pickup, removing all the things that cause nutrients and other food for the planktons and the algae in our streams that we don't want.
You know, it's funny, that I just want to sort of comment on that. Living on the lake, so we have the lake where I am right now. We are up on a hill and we have very strict restrictions about what we can do and how we have to affect drainage. And last year we had this great nonprofit organization that has teenage students who volunteer, and they work for the summer, and they, do work around the lake to make it. And we had an unfortunate incident last summer. We had a cyanobacteria, I'm probably mispronouncing what it is, but it's an algae bloom that you described. And it was actually really dangerous, right? Dogs can't consume it. They could die. It could make you very sick if you consume it. And we certainly don't want it in our water systems. And luckily that has cleared and hopefully won't come back this year. But I saw firsthand the challenges that runoff water can create in a water source, and some of the things that we're trying to do to protect this community, just like you're describing for us to do in our storm basins.
Sure. Cyanobacteria on hot weather can be very problematic. Our last outbreak was July of 2012. I'm sorry, July of 2010. Since that time, we put aeration in Horn Pond, and we maintain a high DO level, so we don't have problems with cyanobacteria. But regular blue-green algae can still be a problem if there's too many nutrients in the pond. Again, working with Mystic River Watershed, we put out lots of tips on our webpage. Matt sends out, puts them on Facebook. Sometimes we tweet about them. Public awareness, public education on these matters is very big. Sometimes we try to get the word out. We have a little troop of Girl Scouts that we work with. We work with some of the elementary schools, and they're tremendous. And they're probably the best prospect for getting information to adults is through the kids in the schools. They're very good.
Yeah, they saw the video on the website from when the Girl Scouts had done some tips and tricks, which was really charming to read. Matt, I don't know, feel free to punt this back to Jay if you'd like to, but I went to the dashboard. That you actually have a really dynamic dashboard and that looks at our water statuses and stuff. And I'll be honest, I saw lots of dials. I saw red things. I saw green things. I really wasn't sure how to read that in a meaningful way. For those of folks like me who don't live and breathe this every day like you do, what would you tell us to go look for if we go check out that dashboard? What should we be seeing?
Well, I would say that the simplest things are to look at how many catch basins have we cleaned. We have two workers on DPW who are responsible for cleaning catch basins. Right now, they're kind of on one at a time with injuries, I guess. But what they do is they've got a special truck that has this claw thing that they open the grate, they pull out all the sediment that's built up, they put it in the back of the truck. And what they do is they also have an iPad with them, and they measure the depth of that catch basin both before and after it's been cleaned. And they enter that information into a form on the iPad, which then feeds back into that dashboard. So generally speaking, I know when they're cleaning because I could, if I check that dashboard every day, which I don't like stare at it all the time, but I did when I first.
Can you create a dashboard for my children in their rooms, like, you know, that measures if they're actually doing any cleaning time?
I'm not sure that'd be ethical, but
fair enough. It probably breaks some privacy rules.
right. So the simple things on the dashboard are showing how many catch basins have been cleaned during the current permit year, which follows the fiscal year of July 1 to June 30th every year. We also have a number of these tags. So far, 486 of them. I have to look at my notes. And that's indicated on the dashboard as well. And that just says, you know, no dumping. This one says drains to Horn Pond. We also have some that say drains to Aberjona River. They all eventually end up in the river, but most of them go to Horn Pond first.
So only 2,400 more catch basins to tag.
Yeah.
Only, you know, that's actually quite an incredible number. I guess I didn't realize how many there were in our city.
Yeah, and that's only the ones that we're responsible for. You know, there are thousands of other catch basins throughout the city that are on private property, mostly industrial parks, you know, those types of facilities. But a lot of those still drain to city maintained outfalls. And so that creates what's called an interconnection. And we have to monitor that as well. And so each outfall that collects drainage from each of the catch basins citywide, we have to also keep an eye on those and test them to make sure there's no harmful chemicals coming out, make sure there's no evidence that somebody has what's called an illicit connection. Sometimes, you know, if people had a sump pump connected to the drainage system and their oil tank leaks, that could be putting your heating oil right into the river. You know, that sort of thing. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but you know, we have to be able to monitor those outfalls for those things. And normally we hire interns either from the high school or local colleges to do a lot of that work for us. We train them in what to look for and what tests to perform. And then they go out and they get some great experience. If they're going on to become an engineer themselves, it turns out to be a great experience for them. We weren't able to do that last year, obviously, because of COVID. We didn't have enough space in the office for that many people. So.
Well, hopefully you'll get it back. What a great program. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
We have yard waste coming up, right? Pick up for the first of it. I know we have multiple. So just, Jay, do you want to remind us the date of that again? Do you know offhand?
Well, Matt can give you that. What I was going to point out is that in addition to cleaning catch basins, one of the primary functions of the DPW, and they do a fantastic job, is street sweeping. And this is the time of year where they do their initial street sweeping. They sweep the sidewalks, the streets, and all of the things that came down from the winter, rainfall, whatever debris is on the street. They remove that, and that's one less source of nutrients going into the catch basins, into the streams. And they do that almost throughout the summer and the fall. They do a great job of keeping the streets cleaned. In addition to that, we do the spring cleanup, which the Board of Health runs, and that's on their websites. They have a number of different dates, but essentially you can collect all your yard waste, your leaves, clean up your yard, get rid of all that. And that's another source of nutrients that if they're just left around, it deteriorates, becomes nutrient, gets into the water, causes problems.
Excellent. Matt, do you have that data off the top of your head by chance?
I checked the website while Jay was talking about it. The first one coming up is the week of April 12th. And that will get picked up with your regular trash pickup. I believe it's a separate truck, but they pick those bags up for you. And the Board of Health runs that program So the rest of the dates are all listed on their webpage. I recently did a news post on the city webpage about bagging your leaves and indicated the first week is April 12th. The next one is May 10th, that week of May 10th. But the rest of the dates, there's a link in that item on the city homepage. There's a list on the Board of Health website that lists all the rest of the weeks throughout the year when we're doing yard waste pickup days during your trash collection. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Before we let you go, anything else that we as residents should be doing to help protect our waterways that you want us to be thinking about? We'll definitely clean up our leaves, clean up your dog mess, which you should be doing anyways, because none of us want to step in it. Anything else that we should be keeping our eyes out for?
Yeah, if you check our website, you'll find a bunch of tips, but there's all sorts online. One thing that I'm a huge proponent of is rain barrels. I have 2 at my house. Essentially, you're removing some of the rainwater from running off into the city system. What I do is I use that for watering the gardens and my wife's flowers, and we save on purchasing municipal water by using our own. So it's a good conservation measure, and it's a good way of not adding water to the system.
I love that. Matt, you got anything else you want to add? Your favorite?
No, I just to reiterate on the dog waste one, it's not a fun one, but it's amazing how many people go so far as to clean it up and put it in a bag and then not want to carry it around with them and throw it in a catch basin in the bag. So now they're polluting twice.
Oh my goodness, that's awful.
So, I think the simplest thing is to just, if you're going to pick it up, then go the full way. And
I think it's a matter of public education. I think truly a lot of these people don't know that you can't do this or shouldn't do it. So it's a matter of getting people, making them aware of it.
You mean all that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles living in the sewers hasn't educated us enough to keep our garbage out yet?
There you go.
You would think so. Now, that was really good advice. Thank you so much. We don't think a lot about these things. I think as you described, it's something we take for granted. It just goes somewhere and we don't really think about where it goes and how much it impacts the water sources in the community and our wildlife, people who enjoy fishing and
Sure.
being able to get out and canoe and everything. And it all leads to the ocean eventually. And so thank you both so much for joining me today and talking about it and reminding us that spring cleanup isn't just about our closets and all that good stuff, but it's really about protecting the environment as well.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
So
you.
glad to have you. And before we wrap up today, I'm so excited to welcome Rachel, who is the owner of the Primrose School of Woburn. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
So you opened up a brand new school, right? I saw the pictures and the ribbon cutting. It looks lovely. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, we did have our ribbon cutting this week, twice in a week. I get to see Mayor Galvin. Yeah, we're on the former Sons of Italy site. My husband and I, just because I'm assuming some of your questions I will be referring to that we've been in this business for years. So we own this school and we also own the Primrose School of Burlington. But yes, we opened up here 2 weeks ago today. And what can I say? So my husband and I set out when we opened that school and this one too, to be quite honest, to have the best preschool in New England. Now that sounds kind of audacious, but if you're gonna do something, go for it. And our mission really carries over not only to the children, but to the parents and our faculty. All of those constituents are extraordinarily important. I mean, obviously the children. We prepare them for grammar school, but I will say that while academics is important in our curriculum, equally, if not more important, is we have it's part of the DNA of the curriculum to teach fundamental life skills. We read a lot, there's a stat rolling around that says something like 60% of the jobs that toddlers will have don't exist yet. So those fundamental human skills are incredibly important. I am deeply committed that our faculty, we have pretty crazy high standards for them, are sort of on-call experts for our parents. parents go through a lot just because you're a parent, and I'm one too, but it doesn't mean I know all the nuances about the milestones that my children hit, nor these parents. So we're here for that. And for our faculty, we're really committed to having them have careers, not just jobs. We are a professional early learning enterprise. Our folks need to teach, not just care for children during the day. They need to teach and do, work on developmental milestones. And we have student progress meetings 3 times a year. And we invented something called personal education plans, which are objectives that we're intentional about outside of the curriculum, just to work and partner with our parents about the development of their children. And so, yeah, I mean, we are thrilled to be here. I can keep going, but maybe you will ask me something, because I have so much I can say, but I don't know which direction you want me to go in.
I gotta tell you, I was really pleased to hear you talk about teachers, because I think preschool in particular, we've been very lucky. My husband and I have 4 children, some of which spent considerable amount of time in preschools, and those jobs tend to be very low paying jobs and tend to have unbelievable people who are so dedicated to children and so dedicated to staff, but it's hard to make a career and make a living out of that full time without augmenting it in other ways. And so I love what you're talking about in terms of it being, more than, it's not babysitting. This is actually an environment where you're teaching and spending so much time with our children, as most preschools do. It's a tough, we give our children over for many hours a day.
Yes, and we don't take that lightly in terms of parents entrusting to us. Yeah, we have, I didn't grow up in this industry, and it actually continues to make my jaw drop when I interview people, to be quite honest about how they're treated, and it's just not right. So I come from the business world, not necessarily from the preschool world, and there's just professional things you do. And I find that I'm going to keep doing them. I mean, we have a 401k. We often have to train people on the importance of that. But, we did an analysis we matched that only 25% of the companies in the nation have a matching program. And at the rate that we match, if someone starts in their 20s and puts what they, 5%, and we match, by the time they're 60, I did the math the other day at sort of an average growth rate. I used to do a lot in financial advising. They could have $1 million. I mean, it's just that kind of thing, right? So we work on that. We've started a Primrose Academy credential program, which is really my husband and I and my leadership team. By the way, 7 of my 9 leadership team members came out of the classroom. So I say that only because I really am after these guys growing and fulfilling their careers, not, and getting more training and so on. So the Primrose Academy credential program lasts for about the 2 years that people start. And it's ongoing professional learning. I mean, professionals need to keep learning. We'll pay for some courses if people want to take it. I mean, it's very, very, I'm sort of giving examples because I think we walk the talk there. I mean, it's very important that these guys are passionate and learning and growing. It's good for them. It's good for the kiddos. It's great for the parents. I mean, it just makes it, better all around.
So I got to ask, you have a successful branch in Burlington, and in the middle of a pandemic, when chaos is ensuing, you decided that was the perfect time to build a new facility in Woburn. We're glad you did, but tell us about that decision and why now felt like the right time for you.
Well, to be fair, we started a lot before the pandemic. And in fact, the pandemic put us on hold, which is really fine. If we hadn't been on hold, we would have opened in September, and that would have been, frankly, not a good thing, just with everything that was going on. Referring to my Burlington school, and obviously the last 2 weeks here, we're very rigorous about all of our procedures. All of the kiddos that are able to, which means 2 and above, wear masks, and I don't need to go into all of our practices, but we're extraordinarily rigorous about that and have been squeaky clean. It's been great. Very healthy since we reopened last July. Obviously at the other school, we only opened here 2 weeks ago. And I guess now, yeah, I mean, there were a few hiccups in construction and all that kind of stuff, but we're here and we're fine, and we are flooded. I think parents, they want their kids to be in social situations again. Our curriculum, which isn't just about having kids be in a social place, but really, as I mentioned before, the DNA of our curriculum is having them learn skills. So how to be effective socially is resonating a lot with parents. And they want to get back to work. Inquiries, and I mean, we've had, over probably close to 400 inquiries since I started advertising in the fall. That's not my issue. My issue is finding faculty. I stopped enrollment about 2 weeks ago, and my wait list is now longer than my enrollment. I cannot enroll until I have more faculty.
And I imagine that a lot of the qualified faculty is waiting for school buildings to reopen for their own families, perhaps, to be able
Could be. I don't know. I think it's a blend of things. I think maybe some went off to be nannies because it was more comfortable, which I can completely understand. I think some changes in unemployment benefits have had a disincentive a little bit. I mean, anyway. And yes, I think as people go back, yeah, I think what you said is true too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, excellent. Well, we're excited. That's a great business situation to be in, where you have plenty of demand, and those folks who are, and I'm sure you'll find great talented staff. I do want to ask a couple other questions. So
Yes,
you
please.
are, Primrose is part of a larger nationwide.
Yeah, so my husband, we are a franchise.
Yeah.
Sorry, would you like to ask a question, or do you want me to talk a little bit about Primrose? Sorry.
That's okay. I love your passion. You're so excited. You're like me. This is great, Rachel.
Let me let you ask your question.
I'll finish. I'm not shy. I'll interrupt you. It's all good.
Okay.
But I'm interested in this because we are spotlighting all month. We've been spotlighting amazing women who are doing incredible things in our community and business leadership. And we haven't really talked to someone who's done a franchise before. And it's a different kind of business model. And it has some advantages and it has some things that are challenging. Tell us about why you opted to do a franchise model and instead of a self-brand, and what that has done for you.
Yeah, you bet. So my husband and I, now about a decade ago, really decided what I mentioned before is that we wanted to open, as we call, the best preschool in England. Lots of ways you can do that. You can buy one, so on and so forth. But to make a long story short, during our process of thinking of that, we found Primrose, and didn't even know you could franchise a preschool. So we went down to Atlanta, where they're headquartered. They only accept 2% of all people who want to be franchise owners, to have them meet us, and frankly, to vet them, because if I'm going to be a franchise, I need to know what I'm getting into. And we continue to be extraordinarily satisfied with them and what we get from them, which is mainly the curriculum. Because as great as my faculty are, I want consistency. I want PhD designed, research informed. They've been doing this for decades. There's over 400 Primroses in the nation. They've been around for 39 years. The chairman is a woman. She is a pistol. The Primrose started with a couple that started a preschool, and there were parents that were so satisfied that said, I want to do that. So then they franchised. So it really started as a deeply committed, and then Jo Kirshner, who is now the chairwoman of Primrose, worked for them in marketing. And then she's been in the company for decades. And so it's actually it's a not owned, I would say, but woman run company at the moment. Their commitment to children, for all children. We have several fundraising events a year, or let's say community events. We have several community events meeting in my school, because with parents racing in and out every day, they don't get a chance to meet each other. So we like to have these events, movie night on the fire truck playground or what have you, where parents can meet one another. So we really like having that community. And we often have those double as charity events. It's completely voluntary, but there's just an ethic throughout the whole system of giving back for all children. So while we live in generally an area that's fairly well off, we always look as both a whole company and then as our branch, so to speak, to give back to the community and so on. So there's ethics like that. They're just committed and just world-class quality. So for us, it became a no-brainer because I'm not an early childhood educator. I'm frankly a businesswoman. And, you know, my right arm is deep expert in early childhood education. And boy, have we learned a lot. But I really count on them for that. And then their expertise and their ethics. It's just pristine.
Awesome. Well, that is wonderful reasons to use a franchise. We're so glad that you did, and congratulations on your new school. If anyone is interested in, I know right now you have a pause on enrollment, but it sounds like you're looking for staff. So if anybody's interested, they should reach out through the website, or what's the best way for them to get?
Yeah, no, the website has all of our information. There is a pause, but yeah, the minute I have a faculty, it's binary. You know, I can have 10 more children. So, you know what I mean? So they don't need, you know, maybe a little bit of a wait, but yeah, website. We have a Facebook page that has lots of fun photos on it. So you can see our, you know, balloon arch for opening day. We like to have a lot of fun here. Our Irish flag parfaits for St. Patrick's Day. And,
I'm jealous. I want to go to preschool.
Yeah, you do. We have a lot of fun.
I'll just relay this. When my children are now young adults, but I remember when they were in preschool this one particular year, I thought I was very generous and so excited. My Derek loved the Hulk, and so I bought this Hulk cake, and I thought I was doing this wonderful thing bringing in, and everybody was so excited until all the children took a bite and realized that the green and purple dye on the cake stained not just the inside of their mouths, but like all of it. And so I may be banned from preschools for the rest of my
the other parents
as a result of that. But preschool can be, you know, all joking around, preschool can be so much fun and such a great community component to what we do. And where in Woburn are you located?
Do you know where the Sons of Italy was?
I don't actually know.
Okay.
I
Darling, you're okay.
I'm going to get all kinds of messages now, I'm sure.
Yeah, you are. We're about literally halfway between Four Corners and the YMCA.
Oh, okay. I actually, now that you said that, I do think I knew where it is. I guess in my mind, I didn't know that that's what that building was, but
got it. Yeah. So if you're going from Four Corners towards the Y, we're on the right.
So everybody forgive me for not knowing. If it makes you
Who am I for shaming you? Yeah.
I'm traditionally challenged. I've been here for
fair
years, and I'm not great at directions.
I didn't mean anything by it. Sure.
It's funny. So thank you so much for joining us, Rachel. We really appreciate. Congratulations on the school. And of course, thank you all for tuning in. And as always, continue to take good care of each other.